Promoting her new film, Sometimes I Think About Dying, Daisy Ridley appeared on NBC's Today, where she was asked about her thoughts on the horrible misogyny among fans that has been plaguing the Star Wars community, according to the official Lucasfilm narrative. What she said about this, though, was both shocking and surprising in equal measure. Ever since Disney, beginning with Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm and later culminating with Kevin Feige's Marvel Studios, went all in on diversity, equity, and inclusion. They have used their cast as human shields to deflect from any and all criticism aimed at the decision makers for their divisive policies and shoddy and extremely questionable decision making. For instance, when Rian Johnson burned Star Wars to the ground in The Last Jedi, and Kathleen Kennedy saw to it that Rose Tico actress Kelly Marie Tran was clad in a potato sack and plainified, so no one would outshine her self-insert Rey Palpatine. The Lucasfilm strategy of choice was to single out and amplify the negative fan response to the Rose Tico character, deliberately obfuscate that with a negative response to actress Kelly Marie Tran, and then dismiss all criticism against the movie as being misogynistic and racist in nature, conveniently ignoring the very real and actual complaints. Later, when WDW Pro sources revealed that because of Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow DEI policies, they couldn't have a series feature Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Vader as the leads, as that would have been too many white people on screen all at the same time. The character of Reva was not only artificially put in the spotlight. Actress Moses Ingram herself was set up to receive backlash, and the Disney marketing muscle was pre-prepared to deal with it. To this end, actor Ewan McGregor was rolled out and instructed to do a car video, decrying the racist and misogynistic attacks on Moses Ingram we were told there had been so incredibly many instances of, even though no receipts were shown to back up these claims, and the fans in the online trenches hadn't seen any such attacks on Ingram from the fans. Certainly not enough to warrant the kind of response Disney's PR machine rolled out, which again was to pretend, presumably to the rest of the industry and Disney shareholders and other investors, that all attacks on Kathleen Kennedy's iteration of Star Wars was down to either misogyny, racism, or both. It couldn't possibly be due to them mismanaging the Star Wars brand. There's no spreadsheet for that, so it had to be something else. Well, that brings us to Rey Palpatine herself, Daisy Ridley. Being the public face of the sequel trilogy, which arguably was both a creative and financial failure that ruined the entire Star Wars franchise, it's fair to say that Rey Palpatine doesn't have much of a fanbase, and there's virtually zero hype for or interest in any more movies featuring the character. Case in point, the WEF's Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's New Year assertion that a Rey movie was coming and that it would be directed by her, because she's a woman and it's about time, created zero hype and zero enthusiasm, only backlash and despondency and nothing else. In light of all this, you'd think that actress Daisy Ridley must really have suffered under the barrage of hate and misogyny that, according to the official Lucasfilm, Disney, and wider entertainment media complex narrative, she surely must have been receiving. Well, on January 25th, appearing on NBC's Today to promote her new movie Sometimes I Think About Dying, there was an opportunity to ask her. Clearly, NBC must have been hoping for a headline and for a sub-story decrying fans as being horrible people.
Because there are some of the, I'd say, extreme Star Wars fans who have made this a conversation on the internet about how they don't want a female director. Which seems bizarre because episodes of The Mandalorian were directed by females. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy has been overseeing all of this. So, what is your take?
Notice how that journalist woman deliberately misconstrued, trying to argue that fans somehow were against a female director, which is both rewriting reality as well as another deflection. Furthermore, it is not the fans that have made this a conversation, it is the fire starters in the media, like this very woman right here who has done that. Illustrating that, she was trying to do so again right here in front of our very eyes, desperately trying to goad Daisy Ridley into delivering a sub-story on how horrible the fans are and how upset she is by them. But alas, Daisy Ridley didn't bite on that bait.
I think my take is things get blown out of proportion, and the interactions I've ever had with people have been nothing but wonderful and supportive. And honestly, the day we announced that I was coming back at Celebration last year, you cannot imagine the joy and goodwill in that room. So I've only ever been embraced, and I think we're going to make a great film and people will love it.
We cannot wait.
See, that's reality right there. Outside of those who showed up in the room at that Star Wars celebration, there may not be much fan support for the character of Rey Palpatine, but no one, regardless of how much they may dislike the sequel trilogy, has any personal animosity towards Daisy Ridley or any desire to flame her. This is also true for Moses Ingram and Kelly Marie Tran for that matter. To the extent of which they ever received any genuine racist or misogynist backlash, the ones behind that were an extreme minority, atypical from and not representative of the fan base at large. And if they had been visible, the other fans would have turned on them. But again, the real problem here isn't the fans, and it never was, not even the extreme minority that genuinely may be horrible people. Rather, the problem was always the likes of Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson, who would deliberately subvert cultural icons for ideological purposes, and the likes of Bob Iger, who would enable them to do so for self-serving political reasons, all while happily using the likes of Daisy Ridley, Kelly Marie Tran and Moses Ingram as human shields to protect themselves from criticism, as well as for battering rams to attack a fan base scorned. The decision makers behind the scenes are the real problem here, and so are the fire starters in the media who do their bidding, such as this woman in pink right here, who is genuinely pushing fake news and creating division. But without going down that rabbit hole any further for now, they were able to get a little bit more info out of Daisy Ridley.
I actually haven't read a script yet, but the story I've been told is fantastic, and I'm there.
That's actually a really important clarification right there. Many outlets have quoted her as saying the script for the Rey movie is fantastic, but now we know from her own lips that as of January 25th, Daisy Ridley still had seen no Rey script, and it's not her opinion that the script that she hasn't seen is fantastic. It was her Disney handlers who told her that, and they just gave her the PR line because they haven't seen it either. The important takeaway here though is that Daisy Ridley is not a drama farmer, even when a journalist looking to stir up some drama clearly set her up to do just that. Instead, Daisy Ridley punctured that balloon and the entire narrative with it. I don't know anything else about that woman in pink, by the way, or what she stands for as a journalist in general, but based on her conduct here, she probably shouldn't be one, since she's pushing false narratives and is seemingly only looking to sow discord. A lot of news outlets, especially of the woke variety, have gone under in recent months and years, and so the journalists working for them have suddenly found themselves out of a job. Normally, I am saddened by anyone losing their job and livelihood, but since these just so happen to be the pushers of fake narratives, I'm willing to make an exception. Either way, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments.